Somebody join me.
Yay. Hello, and welcome to This Week Training Tuesday Live. We're back. This is Magnet Marketers, where our goal is always to help you become a magnet with your marketing versus being a bullhorn. And if you are someone that's all about leads and getting some good ones, you're going to want to tune into this because we're talking about how you can maximize LinkedIn ads. I know we've been talking quite a bit about ads over the past couple weeks because we're entering into 'tis the season for some sales, hopefully to grow your business. And we have the perfect expert with us here today to dive into LinkedIn ads. He's AJ Wilcox. But before we dive into his bio, just a quick hello if we've not met before. My name is Jessica Phillips with Now Marketing Group and the Relationship Marketing System. I'm an awesome co-host. He's Mike Gingrich. He's president of Digital Hill, the co-founder of the popular apps Waftio, Tabsite, and a published author extraordinaire. I want to know from you, who's joining in with us, and have you tried out some LinkedIn ads? What's your experience been with even the LinkedIn changes that have been happening? We want to have a deep conversation about LinkedIn ads with you here today. So, Mike, want to introduce our phenomenal guest with us today?
Yes. Excited about this. Looking forward to it. As Jessica said, folks, let us know you're here. Say hi, and we're going to dive in. So let me intro who we've got with us. Got AJ Wilcox here, and coming to us as a LinkedIn Ads Pro, who's the founder of B2Linked.com, a LinkedIn Ads specialist agency. AJ is an official LinkedIn partner, host of the LinkedIn Ads Show podcast, and has managed among the world's largest LinkedIn ad accounts in the world. All right, this is going to be some good stuff today. Mm-hmm. He's also, if you can't tell, it says in his bio, he's a ginger. I mean, maybe in the beard I see. Yeah. And much to my love, I found a fellow triathlete. So, wow, it's always near and dear to my heart to talk to another triathlete. He lives in Utah with their 4 kids, and his company car is a wicked fast go-kart. AJ, top speed?
I have one that tops out at 45, but another that tops out at 120. So just depends on what your flavor is.
Oh, there we go.
That's slow,
all right.
Just that slow, huh?
Yeah.
You're a man that means business. And so I love this, AJ. So first, welcome. And we have another LinkedIn just all-star that I adore, like yourself, Jamie Cohen, in the house. And she's very excited to hear what you have to say. She said she tried some ads, but they were super duper expensive and didn't have much action as organic content. So I'm really interested to hear from you because you seem to have mastered it. So I honestly, you were one of the first people that I've met and heard from. And I asked you this question when we were getting started, what is your relationship status with LinkedIn? I want to know, is it complicated right now? Are you still into it? What made you fall in love with LinkedIn ads and become so great at it?
Yeah. So first off, I mean, if you've ever been in the LinkedIn ads platform, you know that it's I'm not going to say it's total garbage, but it's nothing like if you've logged into Google or Facebook, where you can tell the interface was designed by people who really cared and really understood. So LinkedIn's not like that. Plus it's expensive. So you look at those things and go, well, it's not easy to use. And boy, it costs a lot to advertise. Those are 2 marks against it. And I think that's the big reason why not everyone's a LinkedIn ads user. If it were inexpensive, I would think that every single B2B marketer, this should be the primary channel they learn. But because it is so expensive, it throws challenges, and it means that some businesses are priced out of the market. So it's really important to understand who it is that is a good fit versus who isn't. And I fell in love with it because the lead quality, not because the platform itself was any good.
Yeah. And that's what really intrigued me. And that's what made sense. Right. So it's we say all the time here, right? It's not counting the likes, it's counting the conversations that are started, and very similar to your approach and what you stated when we were chatting offline before we went on. It was your sales team came to you and was holy cow, what are you doing with these LinkedIn ads? Because they're actually leads that are converting. So it's not the quantity, but it was the quality of the leads that were converting. So while maybe more expensive, when you kind of compare ROI to ROI, you're okay, clear winner here. So I love that you stated, just the comparison between Facebook ads and Google ads, because I feel our audience is a lot more familiar with those, at least my clients are. So what would you say separates, when you say kind of compete some people out of market, what's LinkedIn ads in a nutshell, and who's it for?
Yeah. So just like a heads up on the cost. If you're investing in business to business on Facebook, you're probably going to pay somewhere between about $1 to $3 per click. And on LinkedIn, if you're targeting anywhere in North America, you're probably going to pay $8 to $11 per click. So you look at that and go, yikes, that is several times more. But what that doesn't take into account is when we get leads from a very specific type of person from LinkedIn ads, we know every single one of those is a qualified potential buyer for us versus, and no knock against Facebook. I think everyone should also be using Facebook ads, but when you're running them, they're a lot less expensive, but it's also this very much a spray and pray approach where I can't make sure I'm getting exactly the right person. So I'm going to try to approximate them and just kind of spray it out there. And what happens is sales teams will come back and say, oh yeah, like we do okay with Facebook, but we disqualify 60 or 80% of the leads. And if you look at that, all of a sudden it starts making sense. Like, paying 5 to 6 times more for the traffic on LinkedIn, we get where it's profitable.
Amen to that. Like, Mike, I don't know about you. Like, I've tested it with a couple clients. I'm definitely not AJ status yet, but that's why he's here. I want to learn from him, soak in his wisdom. But like clients like, okay, so we work with some very serious niche businesses. Like one sells plastic mold manufacturing. Like, so they are creating molds that create like the plastic parts, right? So their quality of lead, and not everyone has to be this expensive, but like their quality of lead could lead to 30,000 plus, right? So using LinkedIn to get to the right engineer or that buyer and specifically having a message for them versus maybe one of our other clients that's selling like a water bottle, right? Or something, it makes a whole heck of a lot more sense on how you're going to reach them. And also the mindset, I feel like, of people in LinkedIn. So does it also matter like B2B, B2C, like have you seen it work across the board with like the type of person that's on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I mean, we see B2B and B2C can both work. The big challenge is, of course, the cost. So if you're selling purses, I mean, let's say that it costs you $30 to make a purse and you sell it for $100. Probably terrible numbers. I'm not really that informed about purses, but you put that out on LinkedIn. If you're paying $8 to $11 a click, you're going to need like a, 20-30% conversion rate for that to make sense, which probably isn't going to happen. So we find that the most part, LinkedIn ads is going to be great for business to business because that's generally where you have these big deal sizes, these long sales cycles that just aren't working very well on Google and Facebook. And so I think that's really what you need. Like I tell people, lifetime value of 15K or higher. If you have that, then it doesn't matter whether they're B2B or B2C. It matters, is it worth reaching this individual this way? Could I not do it a different way, more scalably, or for a lower cost?
Got it. No, I like that. I like that. So, I mean, as we look at just for the background of the audience here who may not be even aware went as far as Jamie did, but what kind of LinkedIn ads are available to choose from?
Yeah. So there are the very first ad that came out in 2007 was over in the right rail when you're on desktop, and it's called a text ad. It's a tiny little image, and you may have seen thousands of them and just never even realized you were looking at an ad. But then in 2013, they came out with one called sponsored content, and this is now what I call their Halo ad format. It's the one that shows up in the news feed, very similar to what is most effective on Facebook. Then they also have something else that's in the right rail when you're on desktop that I call LinkedIn's creepiest ad format, and it's called dynamic ads, and it's creepy because it sticks your picture in the ad itself. So you might have seen that and gone, oh, that's a little odd. It maybe gets your attention. And
did I post that? What's happening? Yeah.
Exactly. And then the last and final one is kind of special for like no one else has anything like this. You can pay per send, and it's like 20 to 45 cents to send to someone. You can put either an email or a chatbot kind of experience in someone's LinkedIn messaging. They tend to be a little bit more expensive, but they can be a really good deal when you have a really special, VIP kind of offer.
When your copy is right too.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
For sure. But I love what you hit on too about people with longer sales cycles, because I've really found that that's the magic sauce for LinkedIn too, and where it works. Because, you know, when you have the ability, and I want to drill in with you kind of like how you can target and how freaking magical and unique that LinkedIn has huge advantages over others, but also going in it with it, knowing, okay, we're going to spend a little bit more, but this sales cycle could potentially take us 12 to 18 months. The same plastic mold manufacturing company I'm talking about, this client, like their average sales cycle is a year. So if you don't get it right and get people like, you know, into your conversations and into your brand and starting to consider your brand way ahead of time, you know, you're seriously going to be missing out. It's not impulse buying, I guess, is what I'm saying. Like with LinkedIn, I don't see LinkedIn ads as something that's like a impulse buy kind of situation, although maybe you've had some experience with that too. So maybe like shed some light on first, like what the specific unique targeting can be and where you've seen it really have some magic over some others.
Yeah. So from the targeting perspective, I mean, the reason that we are willing to pay $8 to $11 per click is because LinkedIn's targeting is that good. We can target people by their job title, what department they sit in, their company name. Even for you who are doing like account-based marketing, you can target by company industry, company size, company growth rate, their education, their demographics, male, female, where they're located. And I probably only named about a fourth of everything that's available. It's fantastic. The average persona that someone gives me, I can find between 3 and 4 different ways of targeting exactly the same person.
Yeah, you're like, you need to get past the gatekeeper. I have the keys. Like, here's literally finding the buyer at this type of company that is your target audience. And that's what's really cool about it. Like, because you get some generalizations, like from that I've found with like Facebook, and Facebook ads are great too. Like you said, there's still a place for it. Google is great as well. But like, when it comes down to, I need to talk to a very specific person with a very specific message in this company, right? Like very specific. I've not seen anything better. Like as far as ads are concerned.
You just can't find a competitor in that realm. I mean, if there was, I would happily jump off the LinkedIn train and onto whatever competitor. But there just isn't anything out there that can deliver you exactly the right person at nearly the same scale. It's very rare when someone has a budget that we can't spend like the entire thing on LinkedIn, because 98% of their white collar professional ideal target is there. So yeah, it's really perfect in everything except cost.
You got money, we got leads. Yeah,
that's right.
That's like this ads motto. Jamie says, for a smaller B2B business who doesn't want to create content on LinkedIn, can ads be useful? I've had a few people approach me with this question and didn't have the answer. And what would an average spend be for that to be profitable?
Ooh, yes. Great question. So when you're talking about creating content on LinkedIn, there's a couple ways that my brain wants to go here. The first is, if I'm going to put ads on LinkedIn and I just say, here's what we do, click here to talk to our sales rep, no one's clicking on that ad. Like there's no reason to. They're there for a reason. They're on LinkedIn on a mission, and they're not there to see what next vendor they want to give money to. Like that's the last thing on their mind. So what we have to do, I'd say 95% of the time, that direct approach is going to fail, and you're going to need to step up in the funnel a little bit and shoot for more of middle of funnel type of content. So you think about a lead magnet, like a free checklist or a cheat sheet, a guide, an ebook, a webinar, something like that. So if someone comes to us and they say, oh, we don't have that kind of content, we don't want to create a lead magnet, we just want to utilize LinkedIn's targeting, I would tell you it's going to be really expensive, and 95% of the time it's going to fail. If you do want to try it out, just like tiptoe into it and just see, maybe you're the 5% of companies or the 5% of offers or products that can get away with a direct offer, but be ready. Like if it fails, be ready with a backup offer. Like, okay, cool. Now we're going to push them into a guide or a webinar or something, because that's what they're looking for. They want education. They want that big digital hug.
Love that.
So I think that's huge. I mean, this is Jamie brings up a tremendous question. You gave a tremendous answer there. So it is not something that I mean, everybody wants that magic bullet that can be isolated. I just do this and that's all I have to do. Right. And so
Yes.
basically we're saying, no, I mean, you still got to have an overall strategy. It's got to work cohesively together.
Yeah.
And I love the other thing that you said when you said middle of the funnel. And for anyone that's not familiar with that, like we always look at it as 3 stages. And anyone that knows me, I hate that F word, like funnel, but it makes sense when it is approached to ads, because there's awareness where somebody's not heard of you before, right? So you're becoming aware. That's like the first thing. And I always like to say, like you were saying, like that's that, the value added offer that you're giving them, that free download, something like that. And then the second step is like consideration, where they have to trust you a little bit, have heard of you. And that's where you're probably hitting people that are more aware of or heard of your brand, right? Like they've had some kind of consideration to even think to click on it. And then the third is that conversion, where it's like, they know you, they've talked to you, like, right, that kind of offer. And that's what the buyer's journey / funnel, if you will, looks like when you're thinking about ads. So I love that you said, know what your intent is and kind of matching up your offer to your audience and kind of meeting where they're at, but also have a backup plan. That's really good.
Yes. And then Jamie asked was it Jamie? Did I get the name right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jamie asked an awesome question also about budget. Like if I'm going to approach this, I don't want to put too little that whatever the result is, I don't know if it actually worked, or I don't want to overspend if it's going to fail. So what we've found is the ideal budget for like month 1 of testing is around $5,000 if you're targeting anywhere in North America. And I know that probably to some of you may sound like a lot of money, but you got to save up for as long as you need to spend it, because by the time you've spent $5,000, especially on a content offer, what you get is enough leads that your sales team will have an opinion on them. They'll have anecdotal feedback about how the leads are doing. And hopefully they like them so that they'll want to dial them. They'll want to follow up and work your leads really well. But then also you have enough conversions that your conversion rates and your costs per conversion are probably going to be 95% statistically significant. So I call that that's gold. If you can find, yes, I'm sure that the budget resulted in this, and yes, it performed well, that's when I know to keep going or friggin', quit, get out.
abort.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but that's really great. I've never heard someone say like a specific number. And I think that's so helpful. Like, so what you're getting into, right? Because if you're throwing like, $500 at it or something and expecting some result, it may be unrealistic and you may give up too early, when this is the magic kind of zone for doing exactly what you want, like with targeting. So like, I wonder if you've seen like some brands, because I mean, you've found this like groove that you really are great at, but what mistakes have you seen, both like maybe with people that have worked with, others that are running LinkedIn ads, or they're starting themselves? Like what mistakes do you commonly see come up?
The biggest mistakes, and I feel really terrible saying this, that like this is even a problem, but LinkedIn is already an expensive channel, but it's even more expensive if you take their advice when you're setting up a campaign. To give you, exactly. So when you go in and create your campaign for the first time, you're going to see a screen, and you get down to the section where you get to tell, hey, this is how I'm willing to pay for traffic. The option that they default you to, and it takes 2 clicks to get away from this, they default you to something called automated bidding or automated delivery. And 90% of the time, that's the most expensive way to pay for traffic. So more often than not, we'll take on an account from someone who attempted to run it themselves, and they go, man, we're paying $20 a click here, $25 a click. Like my boss is ready to give up. And when we take it over, we change the bidding to, hey, LinkedIn, I'm only willing to pay for per click. So make sure you're actually delivering us the clicks. And that's called a max CPC type of bid. It's a manual bid. And when you do that, all of a sudden you're getting similar traffic. I mean, it'll probably be less traffic, but like you'll have to
relevant
test
traffic.
it out and see. Yeah, it'll be hyper relevant, and you'll end up paying like $5 to $8 a click doing that. And if you need more traffic, you can keep increasing that bid.
Good.
Great. People are saying, I'm really loving this info from AJ. I'm like, me too. I definitely was guilty of doing the automatic bidding. Anyone else? Yeah.
Hey, everyone is.
Give
it's
us
the default.
more. I want to hear all this wisdom. Yeah.
Oh, that's another good question from Sarah. Yes.
Sarah.
What do you think, AJ? Should you promote the employee that they would have a relationship with in the ad? I guess that was, or the company as a whole.
Ooh, that's a really cool approach. The majority of the ads that we run are sponsored content, and they have to be attached to a company page. So we just kind of take it for granted that when we launch an ad, it's representing a company. But there is one ad format, it's the sponsored messaging, that you can have actually come from a person's profile.
Yeah.
And that's pretty powerful, especially if it's like a personal invitation. Like if Jessica invites me to something, I'm paying attention. But if like, I don't know, Lone Wolf Consulting or some company I've never heard of is inviting me, like it doesn't feel as personal. So I think that's cool. One approach that Sarah could be talking about here is, what if you in the sponsored content ad in the newsfeed, if you put a picture of the customer success manager or whoever you might be working with, and you kind of spotlight or play them up, that could be a really cool approach. If anyone tries it, I'd absolutely love to hear about the results.
Sarah, you're in the right industry for it, girl. Like, I think I want to hear it. Let's hook you up with AJ and get this going.
Yeah.
We all want to know. We want to know the success story. Have your people get with his people. Let's test it out.
There you go.
We'll do virtual lunch.
It could become one of the other success stories, right? Like, so have you seen some of those success stories? Like what's on the flip side, like the magic that you've seen happen?
Oh man. The magic is out there for sure. Like we pull on accounts regularly where I go, this is just going to be mediocre and it does amazing. Or this is something that like, oh, I think this is going to work great. And then it bombs or something. But, the most shocking one to me, I was working with a company who was kind of like the Uber of helicopters. They would pick you up from LA and take you to Orange County or vice versa. And I told them right up front, I was like, all right, first of all, you're asking for an immediate purchase, which people on LinkedIn, if they've never heard of you, aren't ready to do yet. And second of all, there's no content, there's no offer here. You're saying, here, come and buy, and you shouldn't even try. It's not going to work. And they kind of cajoled me into it. And so we go and run these ads. Sure enough, I mean, there must be an obscene amount of people who are hating that commute from Orange County to LA or vice versa.
Or they want to go back to Cabo because they just got back to Ohio and it was cold here, like me. And so I'm like, what's the name of this company? Is it still alive? Because abort. Right. I want to go back. Yeah.
Yeah. And this one, I think they're called Skyrise helicopters or transportation or something. But it worked really well. We could get cold traffic to drop $250 on a one-way helicopter trip. And that one totally blew me away. I don't know that we've replicated that success since. But yeah, we usually go the content route and try to warm them up to the brand first.
Okay. I mean, that's huge information though, what you just outlined in this specific. I mean, you mentioned before, but now we have an example there that's just, people have to understand, because many times, again, people are thinking, I need to win new business. So, I need that cold lead kind of thing. And you're saying, no. Generally, majority of the time we're going with that. Let's just warm them up.
Yeah. And, to talk about the economics that actually goes into this, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, a content lead, someone who downloads my ebook or something, isn't worth nearly as much to me as someone who says I want a demo. And I totally get that. So here's kind of the economics, the way it works. If you put an ad up there that says click here to talk to sales, come get a demo, you'll probably end up paying somewhere between $500 and $1,000 per lead. You have to really bid high to convince LinkedIn to even show your ad because no one's interested in it. And those who are interested enough to click, only about 1.5% to 4% of people will actually convert. So you end up with this astronomically high cost per lead. However, if I put out, here's a really valuable guide or a checklist or something that it's solving a problem or it's satisfying a curiosity for you as a professional, I'm going to get people to download that at it's 15+% conversion rates. And so I'm going to end up with $30 to $60 per download. And it's really rare when a sales team doesn't go out to 10 of those leads and get 10 to 20% of them on a call for a demo. So you do the math and you're like, oh yeah, if I go the content route, I know they're worth less, but I'm going to pay a heck of a lot less and get a lot more volume. Plus, at the same time, I'm filling my database with exactly the right people to nurture through email and through my retargeting ads. So it definitely works out, but it's a longer play and may not be as easy to wrap your head around.
I love that though. Like you have a strategy to this, right? So if people are hearing and they're like, yes, this is me, like my leads are worth that. I'm willing to invest in LinkedIn ads. Like what's like the questions and the process that you take them through to get ready to make sure that they have the best chance of success versus just kind of throwing some dollars out there and hoping for some good leads.
All right. So you ask an amazing question. And it's one that's super, super important for anyone who wants to take a stab at it themselves. First thing is we give our clients a checklist, and it's an 8-item checklist that has everything we need in order to get started. And I offer the same checklist out there for free to anyone else. So if you go to our website, b2linked.com/checklist, that'll get you access to exactly the same thing. If you don't tick that box that says, I want AJ to contact me, you'll never hear from us ever again. Like this is it's pure value for you. It's not lead gen for us. Then we also have the 4 filter questions that we ask everyone who's interested. It's who's your target audience? Like, can we find them on LinkedIn? It's, do you have a large enough budget to make this work? Like if you're, $5 to $7K a month in ad spend is a budget that doesn't scare you away. Like, yeah, LinkedIn's probably going to work out well. The third is you got to have a lifetime value that's high enough to make up for LinkedIn's high cost, per click up front. So we say, do you have a lifetime value of, 15K or 10K or higher? And then finally, what's that call to action you have? Because if you're hoping to just get them right to a demo or right to purchase something, probably not going to work out well. So if you start with those, you're probably on a really good track.
I love that. Can you share that link one more time? Because I don't think I caught it exactly right. I want to post it here.
I threw it in our StreamYard chat, but it's
I got it.
Yeah.
Oh, look, check you out. You're already on it. Of course you're on it. We got AJ here. Like he's like, I got this. I got it.
Oh, I'm trying.
No, I love that checklist because I feel like, we talk to clients a lot, and Mike and I have talked about this even here in other episodes around like when you're putting out like an offer, thinking about the content that you have. Like I like to think about it as, would somebody pay for this? Right? Like if you're giving something away in exchange for somebody's name and email, like nobody wants to give up their email. So if they are doing that and they are putting in the effort to do that, like make sure it's valuable, right? Like make sure it's something that somebody would be willing to pay for. And then as you mentioned, like, hey, if you don't want me to contact you, I'm not going to contact you. Like don't use it as an opportunity to be like, now I'm going to spam you, like, because I think that hurts the future, right?
Oh yeah. And every time someone gets burned, they become a little bit more cynical, a little bit more skeptical about advertising. And it hurts all of us as marketers. So like the growth hackers out there who are just always trying to find the most, the newest way to dupe someone into like accepting your invite or whatever. You're hurting us all. So you're just kind of pissing in your own oatmeal.
I love it. Sarah has another great question. What's the minimum time frame you recommend an ad to truly measure its success? 1 to 2 weeks, 1 month, 6 months?
Yes, go Sarah. Awesome question.
Thank you, Sarah.
What we find is the time frame isn't super important. It's more just the amount of data, the amount of click and the amount of conversion data you have. So if I'm telling you a budget of 5K a month and you're like, oh, I can't get that. I don't have that. My boss won't give that to me. Let's say you have a budget of $2,500 per month. Just run the same thing, but run it for 2 straight months and you'll get the same amount of data. So I think that would be my recommendation is like, don't worry too much about the time frame unless you're running over COVID or over like Christmas vacation or something. That will change the seasonality. But certainly if you're running during normal just business time, it's all going to be about the same. So just run for longer and get enough data.
Got it. Any other common mistakes that you see that others are doing, have done, that this group should be aware of? Avoid those things.
Yes. The other one is it's also a default option that LinkedIn puts in your plate, and you got to remember to take it out. As you're scrolling down in your first campaign creation, there's a little box that LinkedIn has checked for you, and it's called Enable Audience Expansion.
Okay.
And this little box is poison. It is like, I'm paying, LinkedIn, I'm paying you a premium. I'm paying you $8 to $11 per click to get, to access my right people. And then by
specific people.
Exactly. And by checking that box or leaving it checked, you're essentially giving LinkedIn carte blanche to just add anyone, stick anyone they want into there who's less competitive. So, I mean, if I'm going to pay LinkedIn a premium, I want every single impression to go to someone who is my ideal target audience. Otherwise, I'm going to use like a billboard.
Yeah, because the rules don't seem to be the same. Like that, like a lot of this is different than Facebook ads. So don't assume is like what I'm hearing too. And like you also mentioned about like running that ad like around Christmas time, like knowing the holiday time period, like things may be different, right? Like, so are you seeing that now even like with people trying to during COVID time and election and now going into holiday season, like things that they should consider there?
Yeah, I actually have a whole podcast episode about the seasonality of LinkedIn.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
Yeah.
We end up, this is the time of year where people come to us as leads and they start saying, yeah, we want to get started here in another, half month, another month. And I start telling people, pretty much like after Thanksgiving in the US all to the end of the year, it's a bloodbath on LinkedIn. It is the highest costs you'll have all year. And the lowest lead quality, because everyone that you talk to, you finally get them on the phone, is going to say, hey, let's pick this conversation up after the holidays. So, yeah, I mean, check out the podcast episode. I think it's like 38 or 39.
We got to find this. It's like Game of Thrones. Winter is coming. It's a bloodbath. Okay. So just skip it.
Yes. But I have amazing news for you, because the very best time of year, the cheapest, the most profitable time is the very beginning of January. So it's like bloodbath, bloodbath, bloodbath. And then I am deeply religious, so I don't like actually believe this, but January 2nd is my Christmas every year, because I'm like, yay, cheap clicks from LinkedIn and high conversion rates.
Your New Year's resolution, do better ads.
That's right.
The moral. That's the moral of it. Yeah, I love it.
January. Yeah, one thing that you're saying that stands out to me then is what it comes back to another. It seems like somebody, they need to have this again, and we talk about this a lot on this show. Is the personas have to be identified, because to reach that right one, I mean, if you're not sharp on who that persona is, better get that done before you get in there and drop your 5K.
Yeah. And actually, I love LinkedIn for this. For those of you who hear personas, like the way that HubSpot's described them, and go, oh, that's so scary. Like, that's so much research to do. LinkedIn targeting is kind of like cheating on your personas. Like, you don't have to know that it's Karen and what university she went to and how many kids. Like, what you care about in business is usually like, are they in a position to use your product or service? Are they in a company who's large enough to afford a budget that you're asking for? Do they have the right role that they can approve? And so the personas we deal with are stuff like, is it a director or a VP or a C-level? Or is it someone who has this skill, or they're a member of this kind of group? That's the kind of stuff. So if you don't have your personas totally fleshed out, no worries. Just look at a few of your ideal customers on LinkedIn and pull out what are the titles, what are the industries, what are the skills that they're claiming. And that'll probably give you a really good idea of how to hone your targeting.
And even like the specific companies, like I've literally asked like clients, like I'm still talking about the plastic mold one I'm thinking of that's just had a lot more success on this, but like what companies are your dream companies to get into? Because they know that is my person. Like that's my people, I want to get into it. So it's like so cool when you can say, here's the company, the role of the company and all of that, and get so specific on it. Like how better, how much better could you get just with following them around? I love it.
Yeah. One of our clients was a very hard driving, very competitive marketing department. And they were constantly at odds with their sales team. They would say like, sales, you're not working our leads hard enough. And sales would say, you're not sending us high enough quality of leads. And they hated each other. And I went in to the sales team and just said, hey guys, who are your dream accounts? Who do you want to work with? And there's one guy there who's just crazy about boats. And he's like, oh, you get me in with any of these boat manufacturers? Like, I'm having a great conversation with them. And so I got a list of the top 50 accounts that every one of these reps wanted to work with. I went into LinkedIn, uploaded those company names into campaigns, and immediately started spending. And it had an effect that I didn't really, I guess, really expect. It was like, it really healed this divide between LinkedIn, or between marketing and sales, because sales all of a sudden was like, oh, marketing is trying to help us out. They want what's best for us. And that they would do us more favors. They would work our leads more. They'd call them an extra, 2 or 3 times. So yeah, it is. It's a really powerful feature that anyone can go and use right now.
Look at you. You were like so smart at this. I love it. This is like so much gold. Everybody's saying the same. Tony's like, oh my God, I love this. This is so good. Jamie's like, I'm loving this. And she's like a LinkedIn goddess as well. Like she's awesome with this. So you are crushing it, my friend. Like any last, because this went like super fast, 35 minutes. I'm like, I just want to stay forever. Can you just stay here rest night? But any last like finishing thoughts on, hey, start here, or here's a resource that I have. I'm loving this checklist. I can't wait to download it, by the way. But any other finishing thoughts for our community?
Yeah, I've got 2 really solid resources that I think might be helpful to anyone who wants to take a stab at it. So I just pasted these links into our chat, but the first is the LinkedIn Ads Show podcast. And I'm telling you, like, I don't hold back. It gets real deep and really technical and really geeky. But if you want to know anything about LinkedIn ads, like, go subscribe to that. We share everything. There's no secret sauce. And that's really easy to find. Just whatever podcast player, typed in LinkedIn ads, and you'll see a chubby ginger waving at you. The next one is, I actually did a course with LinkedIn Learning or lynda.com about LinkedIn ads. So I threw a link there, and it's really inexpensive. It's the cheapest, most high quality intro into the LinkedIn ads platform that you can get anywhere.
Don't mind me when I sign up. But I see a team member in here. Can you go use our PayPal? Go get that, please.
Yeah.
No. This is awesome. I love it. You are a wealth of information. I've heard you speak also at like Social Media Marketing World and other events, and just so thankful that you would spend some time sharing your wisdom with me and our community here. So if people have questions and say, oh my God, like this guy that I watched, this ginger, it was like the LinkedIn master, what's the best place for them to find you?
If you find me on LinkedIn, just make sure that you send me a customized connection request. Like tell me like, I heard you on Jessica and Mike's show. That way I'll know to make sure I accept it. Cause I've got 900 of these things sitting there. I can't make it through all of them. I'd love to talk to you there. I'm on Twitter, Wilcox AJ, and I respond to absolutely everything. If you fill out the form on our website, b2linked.com, like it's going to get to me. So yeah, choose any pathway you like.
I love it. You got to go where you are though. LinkedIn. Yeah. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I love it.
I spend a little bit of time there. Yeah.
I feel super special though now. Like you answer my messages. So
I liked it though. He said, customize the message, right? I mean, rule number 1, right? If if you're going to ask for that connection request or something, message somebody.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I have to read this off to you guys. Speaking of customizing a message, because it was so freaking hilarious. This was just organic, so definitely don't skip the organic stuff too. But this gentleman said, "You don't know me, but I post." This was the invite. Okay, you don't know me. I post content about how to create scalable businesses, streamline operations, and create freedom in business. Which I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Here's the pitch, right? But he didn't end there. It was magical. He put, "If you're interested, just accept the request and see these posts in your feed. If not, send me your best insult." My best, Jesse. I was like, just based on the closing, except thank you very much. So we got like a good dialogue, but the customization key for sure. Be creative with it. So.
Yes. And I do have to say, if you're going to invite something like that, you better have thick skin. Because if you tell someone like, give me your best insult, some people will respond with their best, and like, you don't want to go home crying. So
yeah, no, for me, I was like genius, because there's so many of the generic ones that are like, spam you in there and try to sell you, that I'm just like, ignore. But that one, like the ending got me. I will read it. Yeah. People will read it. They may not respond, but they will read it. So make sure it's good.
Totally.
Yeah. Love it. Well, thank you again, AJ and Mike.
Great stuff, AJ. Yes, thank you.
Stuff. I'm so excited to check out your course. And thank you all for joining in with us today. We'll have this recap for you tomorrow on nowmarketinggroup.com in the blog section. So if you want to check it out, get all of AJ's links and all the tips that he shared, please visit us there. Until then, we'll see you next week, Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And next week, we're talking all about websites and what you need to prepare for 2021. Thanks again, AJ. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, guys. Party on.